All right, bang, bang, another episode of Chicago Dog Walk. We are here on Irving. What's the address, Mr. Simmons?
2147 West Irving.
2147 West Irving. We are at Simmons Pro Shop. So, Mr. Simmons, it's great to have you on the show. We really appreciate you doing this.
Okay.
Yeah, so here's the gist. So, you own a bowling shop that's
Bowling Pro Shop.
a bowling pro shop that's not connected to a bowling alley.
Correct.
How common is that?
Very uncommon nowadays.
Very uncommon?
Yeah.
So is there do you know like the set amount there are that is there a certain, there's only a couple left you told me at one point, right?
One on the north side, me, and one on the south side.
That's it, huh? And so, Mr. Simmons, how I came in touch with you and how I became so interested about your business here is because I had a buddy who came in here and he bought a beginner's bag, it comes with shoes and a ball.
Year's package.
A year's pack, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, and you rolled out like a tarp or something, and he rolled it.
Okay.
And you said, you looked at his swing and said, you're going to leave a lot of 5-pins bowling that way. And that's all he leaves is 5-pins. How do you know that? What triggers that?
I don't know if I said that or not, but I don't remember it. But the point is we have a sponge. If you bought it from me, we have a sponge over there that we have him throw it on after we're done. So maybe he throws a straight ball. Straight ball, you're going to leave a lot of 5-pins, you're going to leave a lot of 10-pins.
And then something I like that too, we're doing the interview right here. It's a little different. The first ever on-the-job interview, so this is great. We walked in, we said, Brian, do you got a minute? You said, no, I got to work. So we're working and talking, which I respect. You got to get the day's work in, keep the customers happy. How many balls do you have on the, to work on today?
4, 5, 6 before the customers get here.
4 or 5. So what is the, let's just get right into it. What's the key to a good ball?
That it's round.
That it's round. So there's nothing.
What do you mean by the question?
But what do you is it the finger grip that's important? The weight, what?
The grip weight is important.
What's the distribution?
Obviously, if the weight is wrong, you're not going to be able to throw it right. If the grip doesn't fit you, that's number one. Doesn't matter what weight it is. It's like having a good pair of fitting shoes or a good pair of eyeglasses. You got to be able to see out of your eyeglasses, be able to walk with your shoes on.
Do you have a rule of thumb though? It shouldn't be jammed in there, right? It's not like a Thanksgiving turkey, but it shouldn't be too loose where it's like you're.
It's a very hard question to answer, so people would understand it. Basically, what we call proper thumb, most people that are used to house balls would call it too tight.
Okay.
Because most people are used to house balls, which the holes are too big and the spans are too short.
Now I have an inkling, I have a suspicion that you're not a fan of house balls.
Nobody is. They're there to introduce you to the game. They're not there for you to bowl with the rest of your life.
Okay, so you're saying
you bowl once a year and you want to use a house ball, fine. You're bowling 3 games or 4 games a year. If you're bowling pretty steadily once a month, definitely in a league, you should have your own bowling ball.
Okay, so
It fits your hand properly.
Anybody who's worth a shit, they have their own ball.
Yeah.
Okay, and as far as drilling and baking goes, are we talking like an old school drill that you borrow from your uncle, to nail make a a loft for a dormitory?
You're asking me what kind of drill it is?
Yeah,
what kind of drill I use?
Yeah, is there a special bowling ball drill?
No, that's not. The drill is a carbide drill. The special is the machine that you put it on. It's got a table that can be adjusted for different angles and pitches and so forth.
Okay, and then as far as baking, now people do come in here and they bring they show you a ball that they put in their own oven.
You're skipping way over to the other side of the spectrum.
Excuse me.
Baking is a machine that we use for the fancy reactive resin balls. When you get a certain amount of games on the ball soaks up oil. So you bring it in to get it baked, to get the oil out of the ball, to bring the ball back to what it was when you bought it, or close to it.
How important is that?
If you have that style of ball, it's very important. If you have a basic plastic ball like the house ball, it's not as important at all. You don't bake them at all because they don't soak up oil.
Okay, so will that affect it? Will that make it turn out? Will that make it big curves?
If you throw a reactive resin ball and you're used to that ball working at a certain, let's call hooking at a certain degree, and stops hooking after so many games, let's say 60 games, it's not hooking as much and you haven't been cleaning it, your bowling ball's probably full of oil.
Okay.
But now we're talking about somebody who already owns a ball.
Okay, so this is for the advanced people. The people, you got to know what you're getting into, so you got to go to a good pro shop. Do you find that the pro shops that are connected to these bowling alleys up to par?
Yeah.
They're okay?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
I don't knock any pro shop because I don't want to be knocked.
true. But there are some you walk in like, ooh, like you maybe you got the
I think that
16-year-old
would apply,
behind the desk.
you know, getting a haircut, that applies to anything, any business you want to talk about.
Great point. And
Obviously, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. Mm-hmm. I go by my reputation.
yeah, because you got a standalone bowling shop, and that's really what gravitated me to you, because it's you don't get the walk by and people in. You know, you go on a reputation. Is that right?
Combination of reputation. People, they look us up online. They see my website. We've been here since 1946.
Okay, 1946. That's a long
Starting
time.
with my father. So
And when a little inside too, I came in here in February, remember? And I was like, hey, Mr. Simmons, would you mind hopping on the podcast? I'd like to do a show. And you said, no way. I'm way too busy in the winter. Come back in the summer. How busy does it get?
well, winter's from September through September through April is my busier season. Obviously, April, May, June, July, in the summer is my slower season.
What's
Now we're getting ready for the start of the bowling season. It's going to be August. It's going to start in a week.
What's the advantage to a glove?
Well, you like jumping around.
Yeah, it's a jumpy.
So the point is, a glove is a wrist brace. There's different kinds, but the main thing there is wrist braces. If you have a weak wrist, or you cannot maintain your wrist in the proper position to, let's say, throw a hook ball, that's what a wrist brace is for. It braces your wrist on both sides. Mm-hmm. Sometimes on one side, sometimes on both.
And is that something that depends how you throw, or would you recommend that to everyone, or how does the?
Depends on who the person is.
Okay.
You got thick wrists, for instance, you don't necessarily need one. But if you had skinny wrists, like I've got,
Oh, really?
you might need one.
You were sizing up my wrists, huh?
Well, you got thick wrists.
All right, interesting. What about the rental shoes? You know, when you go there, do you stay away from those? Do you find the spray adequate that they use to clean those up?
A rental shoe is a rental shoe. It's there again like a house ball. It's there to introduce you to the game. I've even had the owner of one big bowling alley in the area tell me, why do people rent shoes? Meaning he didn't understand why people who bowl in the league or coming in weekly would give him $5 for a pair of rental shoes. Why don't you just go buy a pair of shoes?
Yeah, it makes no sense, huh? Yeah,
You're just giving your money away.
that's a good point. We got a phone call. You need to get
Time
that?
out.
Yeah, time out. We'll continue. So we'll get back to
Commercial.
this. Commercial. Sorry.
Simmons Pro Shop. Rules, it doesn't really matter where you put it.
This guy's incredible. Like this is a prototypical dog walk guy. A guy who wants nothing to do with this, but a guy that I just keep pulling into the arena.
I'm working towards it now that you've answered
Beautiful.
it. I got 2 balls ahead of it, but when did you want to pick it up? All right, back to your questions.
All right, back to the question. So back to the interview. So we talked about the shoes. What about the vending machines that have the socks? Are you pro or con
It's a
those?
sock. It's designed for somebody. You should wear socks when you bowl. I gotta say, guys, but it's basically just a sock. If a person has to rent socks to bowl, that's one more way to bowl. Bowling alley makes money.
Okay. So you're okay with that? Like there's no
Just
big
socks.
deal.
You don't want to wear a house shoe without socks on.
What about kids running around the bowling alley? Do you tend to do you like a more serious game, or like you
Obviously,
personally?
my game is serious, but it's great that the kids are bowling. It gets them back in the game. That's our number one problem in this industry today, is that lack of bowling, lack of kids. The bowling industry is trying to get kids back into the game because if you're talking league bowlers, the common age for, let's say, men's league bowlers is in the late 40s, which means it's an old person sport. The young people are not committing to bowling in leagues.
So
That's
I know
the number one problem in bowling today.
Really, so they're kind of the trajectory, kind of like Major League Baseball is almost going through the same thing, and football kids are afraid to
Little
play
bit.
because of concussions and stuff.
Except in this case, the kids are just, they're playing a lot of soccer and a lot of other sports. So the point is, and they're on their video games and their computers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get kids back into the game, and hopefully they'll stay in the game even as they grow into young adults.
Do you think a controversial solution to this problem is, I know sometimes you call leagues and they don't have room because the older guys are in there. Should they start removing older teams? No?
I don't know where you get that information, or you're making it up. But the point is, you call any bowling alley this time of year and you want to join a league, just call them and says, I want to join a league. They're going to tell you, come on over.
What's the best league in the area? Like, what's a really strong league, I'll say?
I think that's a question that is too hard to answer because it all depends on who you are. If you're a top level bowler with a very high average, you're going to look for a league with a lot of money in it. Butler Bowl has a really good league on Friday night and on Wednesday night. If you're just what most people are, pure recreational bowler, not looking for make big money at it, then every house has got good leagues on it.
Have you ever bowled a 400 or 300? Sorry.
I've got 12.
You got 12 300s.
They're above your head.
12. Do you remember all 12?
No.
No? Do you remember
Not
the
in
first
sense-
one?
Oh, yeah, everybody remembers the first three.
Can you walk me through that first one?
I threw 12 strikes.
But, like, what kind of collared shirt were you wearing?
Oh, I
Did
don't
you have
remember that.
pancakes for breakfast?
No.
Nothing like that?
We're talking what is this, 1989? So we're talking, or whatever that says up there.
So nothing really else sticks out for that day? No? That's good. So is a 300?
That's what happens when you get old. We don't remember things.
All right.
You'll be there someday.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Now, is there like a bowler around here that's like a legendary bowler? Like anyone that's like to be reckoned with? Like it's like, oh, there's Tom
My
from
best customer
Glen
as far
Ellen.
as average, his name, well, I can't pronounce his last name, but he's known as JR.
JR. Can you tell me a little bit about JR? He's just a...
Real nice guy, averages around 230. So he's probably the best bowler that I know of in this area.
How many 300s does he have?
Like 48.
48. That's
Somewhere in that
incredible.
area, somewhere in that area.
Do you watch professional bowling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Who's
don't-
your favorite bowler on the tour?
Norm Duke, probably, as far as watching him bowl.
What do you think of Pete Weber?
He was fine for his time.
Did you see that celebration he had? Who do you think you are? I am.
He's just trying to beat Weber, that's all.
Do you think bowling could use more of that though? Like more pizzazz, more flair?
No,
No?
I'm an old time.
Yeah. So you're real straight by the
I
book.
didn't mind watching bowling all those years when it was on Channel 7 growing up. It was very, it was exciting.
So then that makes
Like
me.
golf. Does golf need more flair?
Some would argue, right? Someone
Yeah.
maybe.
And I have no problem watching golf for 84 hours a day.
So you're a big golfer too, huh?
I'm not as good a golfer as I'm a bowler, but yes, I like playing the sport. Yeah.
That kind of bodes well though. So golf in the summer, bowling in the winter, huh?
The two sports go together.
Nice recreational activities
Most
like
of your
that.
professional bowlers are scratch golfers or very close to it.
So
That's
you-
what they do on their day off.
So you say if you're old school, how much do you hate cosmic bowling? Is that ruining the sport?
I don't know if it's ruined the sport. It's taken the sport. What's happened to bowling is league bowling is the backbone of this sport. That's the backbone, and some bowling alley owners know this, and some don't. I'm old enough to, been around for a long time, and if you go back to the history of bowling, like in Japan back in the 1970s, and late 60s, early 70s, Japan, bowling was huge in Japan. They had 4-story bowling alleys. They had waiting lists at 3 in the morning to bowl, but it was all recreational, no leagues. And then they discovered golf, and within a year or two, it all collapsed. Literally collapsed. All these bowling alleys closed up because nobody was bowling anymore. The league bowler says, I will be there 35 weeks of this year. Rain, snow, illness, whatever, I will be there. I will pay you if I'm not there. So if you're asking me what's most good bowling alley owners will tell you, I want every hour of my place that I can, I want it filled up with league bowlers.
Okay, so league bowlers is
They're
what you.
committed to being there.
Yeah.
And for me, on my end of it, those are the people that will definitely, most of the time, will buy themselves a bowling ball.
And so cosmic bowling, those are the kids throwing 2 balls down
Not
a
just
lane.
kids, parents, kids, whatever. Cosmic bowling is bowling's way of trying to make it flashier, and it's a good introduction. Maybe the bowling alley makes more money in it. They get $7, $8 a game, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you find it distracting too? Because of the.
Well, I wouldn't bowl in it. No.
Oh, you never really? So never.
Well, I bowled in it by accident a couple times for a game or two, but I get a headache from it. I don't need that.
Do you find that bowling is in the midst of an identity crisis? Like a strike in bowling is a good thing, but a strike in baseball is a bad thing.
I think you need to get on your couch. You're thinking too much.
Oh, am I?
We
Okay.
have nothing in common. But as far as identity crisis, the only crisis bowling is, I already talked about it, is that people will not, we need young people. When I say young people, I mean ages 21 to 30 or 21 to 35 to quit thinking, they get into a league, they're going to find they'll have a lot of fun. It's a sport you can play. Now, maybe they can't afford it. That's a different subject. Meaning, you got to raise kids today and what people are making and the way the world is today. A lot of parents that can't afford to bowl once a week. That's a lot of money that they have to put out. Meaning, pay for bowling, get there, whatever. So that's a whole different subject. Because it's a lot tougher I don't have kids, but as somebody who grew up in the 70s and 80s, I know that it costs a lot more to raise kids today than it did back then. And the salaries have not always kept up with that curve.
Do you do anything like with the high school bowling leagues, or is that like something you're involved in?
There's not as many high school bowling leagues. That's something that was there when I was, at least in this area, that's something that was there. That's another thing. The high school schools are trying to have bowling teams. Back when I went to Gordon Tech, back when it was called Gordon Tech, we won the city championship. And we had some darn good bowlers on that team. And we had an intramural bowling league that one of the teachers ran at Waveland Bowl. Today, the kids come in here and says, I'm on the bowling team for my high school. And I said, oh, that's great. What's your average? Oh, I've never bowled before.
Oh, no, yeah, we don't.
Okay, so, well, that's the way the world is today.
Yeah.
So the point is, you wouldn't find that in football. You don't find that in basketball. It's not like some kid can walk on a football field and say, I'm on the football team, or I walks on the basketball court and all of a sudden he gets to play no matter how bad a bowler or how bad a player he is. But in bowling, when it comes to the kids, you have a certain segment of kids that bowl, but a lot of kids that don't. And it's sad, because that's something they can do the rest of their lives.
Is there a certain age you think we should start grooming these kids to bowl? Maybe like 3 years old?
Well, that's the problem I think today a little bit, is that I think it's good and bad. I sell balls to them. I get parents come in here and they got, oh, my child loves the ball. Oh, that's great. They're buying him a ball. How old is he? Oh, he's 3 years old. I didn't get allowed to go on a bowling alley until I was 10, until I could walk and throw the ball properly. Now, that was a little different situation. I'm not saying they have to wait till 10. But even though I sell the balls to these people, even though they want to sell them and I make money off of them, I don't think it hurts anything. It's just kind of weird. It's just kind of different or weird.
Maybe start with a Fisher Price set, something of that sort.
You just start. The kid. Like what I recommend is don't put holes in the ball because the kids don't use their thumb. I mean, they don't use anything. They're 3 years old. Put their name on a 6-pound bowling ball and come back a year or two later and get it drilled when they can swing the ball.
But you remember that first time you were in the alley? You just said 10 years old. Can you take me back?
I remember bowling with my father back in the days on Sunday. I had a little different situation. That wasn't the first time I bowled. That was the first time I bowled in the bowling alley. I had a different situation. Again, my father ran a bowling shop. So I bowled in my basement. He set up not a bowling alley, but we used a rubber ball with plastic pins, full size. And me and my brothers, we learned to bowl in the basement before he would take us to the bowling alley. Because I could walk by the time when I went bowling.
So you were born into this sport, essentially.
Yeah.
So you took this over family business. Mm-hmm. Have you found everything you're looking for? Like, are you happy you went this route?
Everyth's got good points and bad points. I enjoy what I do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Yeah, that's true. And what's like the most expensive? Just pretty much just balls, bags, and
I sell balls,
shoes, right?
bags, and shoes. That's what I sell. Yeah.
Interesting.
And accessories that go with it.
Wow. And what's the most expensive thing? The balls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And is there like a arena, like a Masters of bowling? Like, is there any place that like you got to bowl here before you die? Like something, I don't know, like Connecticut?
I couldn't answer that question.
No, there's not like an outdoor course or anything like that?
No.
That would be interesting though. Put a little tent over it. Was that something you'd be interested in playing?
I don't know if they've done that before. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm. What do you like to snack on when you're at the alley?
Potato chips.
Potato chips? Do you find that
I don't drink, so.
No, you don't drink. So how is that affecting the game? People just having a few too many pitchers, because pitchers are usually on special, right?
Yeah, you need to talk to the bowling alley, not me.
Okay.
But bottom line is, a bowling, like I tell my customers all the time, what they have to understand is a bowling alley, the bar is the business, not the bowling.
Really? I don't think I knew that, because it's probably expensive to run all those machines, right? I mean, I know you don't own a bowling alley,
They make their money from the liquor,
From the liquor.
not from the bowling. The bowling is the entertainment, the bar is the business.
Okay. But the premier bowling alley food, probably pizza,
In certain houses,
Yeah,
sure. Some houses don't have food. Timber Lane's down the street, and he doesn't have food at all. He
Nothing.
does a wonderful business.
What's the better bowling movie, Kingpin or The Big Lebowski?
I wasn't a big fan of any of them. I'd probably say the one with Bill Murray in it. That's Kingpin. That's
Kingpin. Do you have his ball? The big Aaron McCracken ball that's got the rose in it? You know what I'm talking
Do
about?
I have it?
Yeah.
Not for sale.
That'd be
I don't have
great, though, if you got a replica of that.
it. Again, that's not my part. That's not my cup of tea.
No. So you don't have any gimmick balls, like nothing with like a skull head in there?
Not for sale, no.
Would you ever consider getting into that game? Like if someone came in to you, they're like, Mr. Simmons, we have exotic balls with a snake, you know.
I mean, Brunswick makes them. They make those. We can buy them for customers, but I'm not going to carry them in my shop. No.
Okay. Do you like the big name bowling alleys though? Like are they good for the sport?
Yeah.
It's okay.
I have no problem with them.
Bowling's bowling.
Well, there's always going to be changes that we can't control. Brunswick sold their bowling alleys to another corporation. Brunswick's not even in the business anymore.
Oh yeah, I just saw that. What are they going to change to? Do you know?
They're not changing anything.
Oh,
They use
nothing?
the Brunswick name, but they a couple of years ago they got out of the business.
Interesting, Mr. Simmons. Thank you for doing this. Is there anything I didn't get to that the people should know about the pro shop business?
Well, if you're talking about me in general, I'm a freestanding shop. If you go on my website, you'll see it explains what we do. We've been here longer probably than most of the other pro shops around. I'm part of ISHBIA, which is our group. I don't belong to it currently, but I have belonged to it. That's a long story.
What is
But
ISHBIA?
ISHBIA is the group that belongs, it's called International Bowling Pro Shops and Instructors Association. I have my reasons for not belonging to it currently, but I went to the school, so I am a certified ball drawer. I went through all that back in 1999, which changed the way I drill balls. Glad I went. And the main thing to remember, if you're a beginner, that's what I specialize in. We have our packages, and you mentioned our mat before. It's famous, but it's up in front over there. And we use it for when you buy a ball from us, we're going to have you throw it. Especially if you're a beginner, we're going to have you throw it and show you how to throw it.
Okay. Would we be able to walk through with me real quick? And, about just see how I throw and see what will work for me?
Well, you
once
have to
we're
have
off
a ball
air.
that fits you.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, maybe when we're off air. Mr. Simmons, thank you again.
Don't mind doing it, but the point is, obviously, we fit you on our machine over here, and then we go through the process. We drill a ball for you, like I'm working on right now. And the bottom line is, if you were a beginner, then when you came in, if you said to me, I'd like to learn how to throw a hook, we can show you how to throw a hook. That's what we do.
Awesome. Mr. Simmons, thank you. How would you rate this interview 1 through 10?
You're catching me on something that you'd have to think about. If I was going to rate it right now, I guess 7.
7? All right, I'll take a 7.
Yes, I don't know. I could say 10, but I don't really have a rating right now.
No, yeah, no, and I don't want you to say something that you're going to have to backtrack on. So that's.
I'm hoping none of this backtracks on me now.
Yeah, so my apologies. I don't want to put you on the spot. So, Mr. Simmons, like I said, thank you. I've been chasing you down since February. Very happy that we were able to make this happen. That's it for today, everybody. We will catch you next time.